So yeah, if you guys want to go ahead, unmute yourself, or if you want to share your chart and ask away, whatever you guys want to go through here. I know today's PA was a little bit questionable in every direction. I got a lot of DMs from a lot of people today. Today was a bit tough, very tough. Like the way I viewed Euro is on the 15 minute. This is a weak. This is a strong high because we did this. But if you zoom out and you go look at the 4 hour, well, we actually failed to close below that low. We wicked below it. So this to me, I was starting to wonder if this is maybe becoming weak. So I started creating a higher time frame buy scenario. And then my sell scenario was based on the 15 minute, and I was looking at this low being weak, which still hasn't gone. But I don't know. All in all, wasn't that amazing of a day. It was hard to read. I believe even GU didn't really give me an entry. I was looking for entries in this zone. Never happened. But that was kind of what I was looking at the market today. You guys have any questions or anything you want to go through? Or does anybody want to share a screen?
I'll share my screen in a second. Somebody asked this question in the questions chat, and I thought this was a good question. But in between that 15-minute high and low, where we had the strong high and what looked like to appear to be probably be a weak low, how do you play? I guess how did you play your potential POIs in that area?
So honestly, with something like this, there's a lot of bad things about today. We're in the middle of this range. If this was the high, this was the low. The only thing I could think of is look for a reason to buy and look for a reason to sell. My reason to buy was the 4 hour. This was high. This was weak, and we're still bullish. My reasons to sell was to me, this was weak and this is weak. This is actually why I originally started selling today. Was I looked at this and I was like, well, we didn't actually run this high. I was like, this is probably some form of inducement. So once we went above that, I tried selling. Didn't work out for me. It did work out for some guys that tried after me. Honestly, about a while back, I was on a Zoom call with a bunch of guys, and we were talking about areas like this. And the consensus was from everybody. And there's probably a Zoom of like 10 of us that all trade similar concepts from WWA and NGAT and everybody. And the consensus was find a reason to run the high, find a reason to run the low, and obviously be realistic. Pay yourself if you run one of these, or pay yourself if you run one of these. And the consensus I got from everybody was nobody actually knew. You have to find a reason to buy and sell. With that being said, there's also the no touch zone, which is this whole middle zone I would have stayed out of. That was probably one of the reasons why my buy failed today. That went 5R in profit. And I tried to force the trade, and I actually took a buy in here. It was in decent profit, but I let it all break even, which is kind of silly on my part. But at the end of the day, I should have been looking for sells from here and buys from this region because this is the top of the range. This is the bottom, and we're not guaranteed to leave the range, right? So as far as how to play today, my straight out question to you is have a bias for either, because there was a bias for either. Hopefully I didn't confuse you more than you were.
No, it's actually very, very clear. I mean, it makes sense. I tried to do the same. I think I took the most part I'll share my screen just a second. I'm just pulling back up home. But I took the most part that we at least had a drop. The previous M15 trim had been upwards. We had the huge drop, so it could still be a buy. It also could be the beginning of our change of direction on M15 to go for a sell. And I looked at H4 and said the same thing, like, well, we didn't body close down, so it's still going up. So it could be a mixture of everything. It could be H force begin to show us signs of weakness. It was just whatever at that point.
Yeah, and I don't know, like right now we're bullish on 4 hour, but we never ran this high, and even when this high formed on the daily, we failed to close, right? So like honestly, I still have reasons to go either direction. Overall, my higher time, like we're bearish on the weekly and the daily. And unless this high goes with a candle body close, like you're still bearish. Daily and weekly trumps 4 hour, even though it's confirmed bullish. But with that being said, if we start breaking supplies and the market does something like this and demands are being respected, you could probably start insinuating that maybe this is a weak 4 hour high because it never closed below, and that maybe that it will get run. So until we see what the market chooses to do here, I honestly have no idea. There was actually a decent GU sell. It was a little bit dirty, or a GU buy. It was a little bit dirty. I missed it in the moment. I literally seen it 2-3 minutes after it happened. But we had this high here, and we had this low here, and we did wick below, wick above. You had inducement, and this was our sweep of the lows, sweep of the highs. Your entry would have been here. Now I went back and looked at this. It only wicked into that by 0.2. And if it only wicked into that by 0.2, I don't know if we would have actually got in that because GU spreads usually 0.3, 0.4, 0.5. So this was the clean GU trade that I seen. But like I said, even if you took the whole candle, I think you would have been not tapped in by spread. Because in all honesty, I probably wouldn't have front run that. That's quite a bit of area to cover. So that was the other trade I seen. I didn't get in it, but that to me was a clean trade, and I would have had no problems at the bare minimum. I would have looked to run this high at a bare minimum because this high, as of right now, is still sort of weak. Like, yeah, we went below that, but there's a lot of inducement here. Like, there was cause to go up. I definitely GU's a little bit different scenario. Everything's bearish. Weekly, 4 hour, 15 minutes unconfirmed. It was a lot harder to want to buy GU today, whereas Euro with 4 hour being bullish and my little theory of the 4 hour high possibly being weak, it was easier to want to buy Euro than it was GU. But that was honestly the only other trade I seen that I would have got involved in. But like I said, with GU spread, or not even that, it was over here. This was the area. But yeah, you would have got in there. And like I said, with GU spread, I doubt you would have been tapped in.
Can you enable screen sharing?
Yeah. 2 seconds here. Let's see. You share. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop my share. And if I stop my share, you should be able to share.
Let's see if it works. Oh, perfect. Training. So to G. What I saw.
Does the red and the green bother you? Do you find it gives you anxiety at all when a bunch of red goes down, or that doesn't bother you at all?
I don't know. I don't even see it, honestly.
Oh man, I don't know. I tried red candles for a while, and then I changed them, and I never went back. And the other day, I tried red candles again. I'm like, man, I don't know. I just can't do it. I think I just got used to not having red candles.
I see everybody else using different color candles. I'm like, one day I almost get my mind to switch, but for some reason I like the dark.
I used to trade with all black candles, but I found you miss a lot of important zones with one color candles. The only good thing about it is there's a lot less emotion with one color candles.
Yeah. So the first thing I saw was, like I said, for EU, I looked at 15 minute and there was a higher high, and then there was our lower low. And so I tried to pull this breaker.
Oh yeah. Do you stay up and trade London?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I guess with Texas, it's not that bad for you.
It's horrible, but I just make it work.
Yeah, see, like London for me is midnight.
Yeah, I wake up at midnight. It's not for the faint of heart. Let's put it like that. But I structured my day differently to do that. So
Oh, okay.
and so the only thing I could pull, I tried to find the only two that I had alert set up for, if it came all the way up here, but I didn't really think that it would. So I tried to wait for this breaker block to be touched, and then I was kind of confused of what to do in this area, simply because I saw, like, I was just waiting to see if it broke some like internal movement, which is what it did. And so once it tapped in here, I looked for my demand right here, and I pulled this last demand, giving my chalk from, let's see, giving me a chalk. And then I pulled this reaction zone here. I put my stop. I do market execution. So I wait for a V-shaped recovery to come into our flip zone. And so I pulled this, put my stop behind here. Luckily, got me before it came up here, and was able to catch it before it made its strong move right when it opened to London. And so I was able to snap a 1-4 on that. But then the rest of the day, I was totally confused. And so
well, it spent a lot of time in that middle of the range too, where you're like, I don't want to buy, I don't want to sell. And even right now, like I don't know what happened to my annotations thing. It disappeared. Hold on 2 seconds. Does anybody know where the annotations toolbar goes? Because I had it and it's gone.
No idea.
Anyway, what I was gonna say was that low at around 13,100. That ultimately was the low I wanted to run, because that's to me that's weak, and it looks like it's almost there. And that was kind of what I was looking at today. And I don't know, man. After my 2 sells failed, I switched my bias, and I was just like, well, maybe we're gonna run that 4-hour high. And like I said, it was a little too high in the leg. I ended up breaking even on it, but I don't know. I think I could have had a little better market outlook today, or in all honesty, a guy could have even stayed out, because with the price action we got, there's definitely nothing phenomenal today.
No, not at all.
Tomorrow we have Powell doesn't talk, and tomorrow we might have a cleaner day as far as no news. So I'm kind of hoping tomorrow is a good day for everybody. I know this has kind of been a news-filled week, and then we have NFP on Friday. So with a little bit of luck, everybody makes some money tomorrow in case there's no trades on Friday.
Yeah. Yeah, the only thing I saw, and this was all in hindsight after this, was I pulled just simply this, large wick that came up and said, okay, at least this broke some type of substructure. It's not, I'm playing with inside the range. So here would be our place for 2 sales. And so I remember seeing this, but I didn't want to take it. So I just took it on like a demo account just to see. Let's see. And so I saw this as well too, where it came into here, and
do you look at all those dots while you trade, or is that on a different screen?
I saw a different screen.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, that's a lot of dots.
Yeah, I had somebody build an indicator based upon the way that I look at market structure, so that I don't have to think about it.
Oh, and nice.
It does everything. It does also. I can really wake up and I'll know where I'm in from a market structure standpoint, and follows all of my rules.
Does it work with higher time frame?
Yeah, it works on any time frame.
Oh, that's all right. What are you willing to share that?
Yeah,
I would totally throw that on. I don't know if I'd use it on anything below 4 hour. The 1 minute's definitely intense, but seems to map structure the correct way.
Yeah, so I just took all my rules, had them built it into rules, and had them developed it for TradingView and for MetaTrader, both. So no matter where I'm at, I can always have it market structure. So I look at it for M15 and the 4 hour, and that's where I kind of watch. That way I can wake up every day and say, okay, I know. And it gives me alerts when market structure is broken or new structure is created. That's the other part I like. So I don't have.
That is awesome, because I've seen a bunch of different market structure indicators, and I've yet to see one I like, but yours definitely maps the way I map.
Yeah, I had it. That was the benefit of having it custom developed because I couldn't find one either that would follow the rules exactly how I wanted to.
So, question for you on the MT4 thing. You can only usually run one EA per screen. So if you're running Magic Keys, you wouldn't run this indicator on MT4 at the same time, right?
Oh no, you could run indicator and Magic Keys at the same time
on a different screen, or can you have one Euro USD screen with two EAs?
Yeah, well, it's an indicator, so it won't run. It's not running as an EA, so you.
Okay, I got you. Okay.
Yeah. So that makes it easy. So that way, I have it run as an indicator, and then I have like my EA that runs for like trade management at the same time on the same screen. So that way, I don't have to have like two different screens.
Right. That is awesome. Wow. And could you customize like all the colors and stuff? Obviously.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can customize colors and text.
Right on. You only trade Euro today, Brian?
I trade Euro and GBP USD and gold.
So, yeah, that's the same thing I trade. I gave gold a break right now. I went back and looked at the last few weeks. I'm like, honestly, I make the least stars on gold out of anything. So I'm just going to look at the two for now.
Gold and GBP USD were my shining stars today because I find Euro, I always get trapped in like it consolidating. Like this was the very first trade I took in the morning where I took the same breaker block and then said, okay, we're going from this high to this low. It tapped into this breaker block. This one was a clean entry. I took the trade and unfortunately I fell kind of asleep and I woke up and hit my take profit. So it was a good.
No, that's not a bad thing to wake up. Are your Magic Keys set to auto break even for you and stuff, or you do it manually?
Auto break even.
So, okay. No, I just manually do it. I know there's a auto break even button after it goes so many pips, but it's never a pip count for me. I wait for it to break a supply or demand on the 1 minute, and then I break even.
Yep. I just did it after about 2R. I had it go to break even. Usually, I think that most times it will have already broken, just in case I don't see it.
Do you partial out at 4R or anything?
No, I took profit, full profit at 4R.
Okay, I gotcha.
It came into this. This is my last demand that pushed that. Well, this was the second last demand. Here was one, but it only wicked through, so I didn't really count that. So I was really waiting for it to break this. It broke that, so I got my change of character. I saw that it came back from this flip zone and it barely tapped in, gave me some confirmation and took it. This one, it went to 1 to 10, but I had it automatic take profit at 1 to 4. And I was looking back, I'm like, dang, I wish I was still awake. I would just let it run.
Honestly, like every time I go looking back at London, part of me is just like, you should just stay up for London. But it's just like the Pacific time zone makes it tough. Like it's even not that good for New York because like I wake up at 4 in the morning, and then usually 4 to 8, whereas London's like 11 till 2 in the morning, and then you have that lull in between. So if I do that, I'm on night shift, and then you're sleeping all day. So it's just like it's not the ideal time zone to do London.
I'm so jealous of people that are in London and just that part of the world, period. It's like,
oh my God, I take like 2 trades a week and call it a week.
Right.
Yeah, no, they got it pretty good in London. You can literally sit there and wait for your 12 entry opportunities, take one, and you're done for the week.
Right. And the other thing I like is that GU popped in. It did come back all the way up to this high, to the last high point. And so once it tapped in there, I pulled another. Oh, this should be a breaker block. It put in another breaker block because I didn't see. It just kind of went straight down, and then I saw an entry here for another 1 to 4.
Oh yeah.
Well, actually, this one actually went down even a lot further than I thought. Whew. So it's going. It looks like it's going to try to take out this low down here.
Well, it ran the low where you would have taken profit anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like myself, I'd probably be 80% partial out if I was shorting that. I was looking for GU shorts. It just never came back where I wanted to short from. And that pair is good for that. It just goes.
Yeah. Well, I couldn't really figure out most places. So I had these breaker blocks. Those were the breaker blocks. The only thing that gave me an actual second like option outside of I looked through even went down to like M10 to see if there was anything I could see here, but there was no there was just a clean drop outside of maybe these wicks right here that may end up showing like a zone on a lower time frame, but I would assume that it must be like on the 5 minute or something. But I don't use those POIs, so I only figured that I could pick this one or this breaker block, and that would be the only two places I look to sell.
Yeah, if it's anything below a 10, I don't look at it either. Like I stay in that 10 to 30, and then I go with the 4 hour, and then the daily obviously is kind of tells me where the 4 hour will likely get stalled, like Euro did when it wicked above the daily, but it couldn't break it, right?
Yep. And then gold was something similar, I think, if I remember correctly. Yeah. So I know we're playing between this lower high and this lower low. I couldn't find anything outside breaker block. It came and tapped that. This is a hindsight entry that I saw that if I was looking to buy into my sell zone, and then it came back later to tap into back into this zone. It didn't really break anything, but it broke a substructure point at this point with just a wick. So it wasn't really like strong break. It was the only other thing that I saw that I was looking at. And I just marked up two other just hindsight entries possibly could have taken, but I was really looking for sales, especially because I went back to go look at the 4 hour too. But the 4 hour was still in a downtrend, although it looks like it's consolidating going down. And these lows, it finally kind of made a low down here, and I'm sure soon.
Gold's really good for that. It'll consolidate and then wipe the lows, wipe the highs, and then go somewhere and then consolidate again, wipe the lows, wipe the highs. And gold's very it really likes its trend line liquidity. I always found with that pair.
Yeah, it just gold loves to consolidate. I've come to learn that, especially the hard way.
Yeah, no, it's not a bad pair. Like I said, I just went back and I looked at it, and like for a few weeks there was my highest hit rate, but then I looked, I'm just like, I get higher, way higher R's on Euro and GU. There was a 2 week period there where GU was like outdoing EU, which usually doesn't happen, but EU likes to consolidate a lot in New York, so if you're done, Brian, let's see if anybody else got a chart they want to share or anything they want to ask about. If any of you guys do, say something or just share. Fire something to the chat, whatever. Surely someone must have something to go through here. Quiet bunch today. All right, well, what we can do is just actually look at the higher time frame of things. I just wanted to say hi to the group listening from work. Okay. Hey, man. So, let's see. Perfect. So we'll just go to one chart here. Whoops. So yeah, like back to my outlook on Euro. This is what we were talking about on Sundays. We had a couple of zones here. I think this was actually a daily zone. Yeah, so we had a daily wick here. We also have a zone here I was interested in. Something I'm kind of wondering, I don't know if it'll happen or not. Obviously, we're still very bearish, but if this high goes, we could see a bit of a pullback kind of into the weekly EQ, which is up here. Still waiting to see what happens. We're in this very ugly zone right now, which kind of looks like it wants to go down. So Euro did run that low finally. Took its time to do it. But yeah, so we'll have to see what London does here. I'm likely sell biased unless something changes. Euro's pretty much the same. But yeah, do you guys have any questions? I don't really have a whole lot to say aside from the little bit we talked about for what I've seen today. In all honesty, I don't know what it's going to do until some more highs go or some more lows go. We're, like I said, stuck in this middle zone. So until something changes, we'll just leave it the way it is. With a little bit of luck, though, something will happen during London.
I have a question for you, Rob.
Yeah, go ahead.
With regards to the news release yesterday on different charts and different brokers, the wicks seem to be different. How would you map structure on the 15M and the 4M? Would you disregard those wicks?
So something like I have another screen open with my MT4, and I always go off of that. Like so forex.com's the most accurate charts that I found. I stopped using it for one reason, because the odd time I like to pull this range volume thing, and forex.com doesn't allow for that. It's not an indicator I use often, but once in a while, let's just like anywhere you have these volume spikes can kind of help you to find POIs, and most people can find them, but this could be a bit of a helping hand. This is the only reason I switched to Oanda, but as far as what do you go with, you got to go with your broker. And Oanda doesn't seem to be too bad. I know FXCM's changed my market structure to I think it was bearish it changed me to, while Oanda and Forex.com actually stayed bullish on the 15M, and I started shorting, and it was actually, and my MT4 actually ended up lining up with Oanda and Forex.com, so that's when I banished the whole FXCM thing. I won't use it anymore. But as far as what do you go with, you got to check your broker, and every broker seems to be different. The other thing I found too is TradingView has these little anomalies that happen, and you come back a couple hours later and they fix their charts. Now, I don't know if the broker does that or TradingView does that, because every now and then the market will open and you'll see a wick like up here, but then 2 hours later it disappears.
Yeah.
But in all honesty, you got to go with your broker. The good thing is the daily and the 4 hour doesn't really change that much. The 15-minute, even the 15-minute right now, you have a very long ways to go to create any structure on either pair I trade right now.
Yeah, that was going to be the next question. Actually, is we can't really see where the market's going to go unless we lose that low or we retest the daily high. It's probably going to be this pretty much the same as it was today until one of those things too happens.
Yeah, exactly. And then it comes back to the whole thing. Like, if this is your range and that's where you're playing, you're going to be buying from here, selling from here, avoiding this middle area. So if this range expands to that tomorrow, I'll make that my high, that my low, and I'll avoid the whole middle area again. And until you have more structure to work with, or it does something along the lines of we just do this and every demand's being respected, then in theory, within reason, you can take buys. And at that point, I'll start insinuating that this 4 hour high is weak, which it is, because we never did get a candle body close with that on the 4 hour. And this is where it gets a little bit weird, because on the 15-minute, this is a strong high. On the 4 hour, it is a very weak high. It never closed below that low, right? And I've always been taught 4 hour trumps 15 minutes. So that's kind of where I'm at. But yeah, it is literally the worst setup possible right now. If it keeps consolidating too, like if it keeps doing this, the thing to do is wait for it to sweep the lows and trade away from it, or wait for it to sweep the highs and trade away from it. Because a range generally gets wiped 2-3 times before we leave it. So that's kind of something that we might be able to look for tomorrow, right? If this stuff continues, we want to see either this side taken or this side taken. And once one of the sides is taken, target the other one. Ranges could be a bit tough to play. You just can't get greedy on them. Target your nearest high, target your nearest low, take heavy partials, leave a little runner on. That makes any sense.
Yeah.
What is meant when you say sell to buy wicks or buy to sell? Okay, yeah, we can totally go through that. So to give you a really good example, there was actually a euro trade on this. I didn't take it, but it did run. I actually uploaded that POI selection video too, Bruce. Check it out later. and I talk about sell to buy wicks a little bit. So if this was our supply at the time, this was a demand right here, these sell to buy wicks. And technically what it is on a lower time frame, this is a demand zone. So if we just look at this, what took out this reaction point, what caused this supply to fail? So I always teach that 3 out of 5 times it's what took out the reaction point. The other 2 out of 5, that's the area. So we always have 2 zones to trade off of. Now, if we just look this zone right here, let's go over to the 1 minute. This was actually a trade that was valid from Euro today. Middle of the range, yes, not the greatest area, but these are your sell to buy wicks here. So it's likely a 10-minute POI or something, but you had a reaction point here. Something in here caused it to fail. You came tap back into it. So this was your high, your supply. So you basically swept the lows, swept the highs, and you look for an entry off these wicks here. And if you're smart, you'll probably cover this low wick. But that's kind of how I use sell to buy wicks. And in that video, when you check it out, Bruce, I do give a few examples of sell to buy wicks. And one of the things that always helps with POI selection is this little guy right here called inducement. If that's there, that definitely helps because that's just fuel for the other direction. And as soon as something like this happens, this is a clean chalk. Wish I took that, but I didn't. Yeah, today you really had to pay attention to catch this. And it was just like the same as the GU trade I was showing the class earlier. I seen it after the fact, and I must have been sitting on the Euro chart during the time that it happened, but that to me was a clean buy scenario for Euro, and that is your sell to buy wicks. As you can see, we tapped right back into what caused this reaction point to go and what caused this flip zone to go. And if you came below that, then the next place would have obviously been your extreme, which is somewhere in here. But you got your trade opportunity there. And that's ultimately all a sell to buy wick is. It's just, it'll be something on a lower time frame. So if you see sell to buy wicks on a 4 hour, it's likely a 2 hour or 1 hour supply. You see sell to buy wicks on a half hour or 1 hour, it's likely a 15-minute or a 10-minute. Myself, I cycle between 10-minute and 30-minute for POIs, and I call that 15-minute POIs. A lot of times I need to see a 10-minute or a 30-minute because the 15-minute isn't always clear, but that's ultimately what sell to buy wicks are. They do hold a lot of times. The other thing you're going to find with sell to buy wicks, it'll do something like this, and then it'll go up. And then it'll use that zone for inducement, and that's the true move. So it's kind of like a breaker. Anytime you have a zone here and a zone here, if you react off this zone, it's usually future inducement for the real move. But if you can take a trade-off and break even and, you know, at least run the nearest high, there was likely at least a 3 or 4 R in there, 5 R, something that's far enough away you got to break an even. Preferably at least a 5 R for me to take it. This pen really loves me. Wow. You guys tell I'm computer illiterate? All right, perfect. Does anybody else have any questions? Feel free to unmute yourself or share a chart or whatever, guys. I'm here till 1 o'clock. We can go over whatever. If not, I'll probably just end the meeting early, and I imagine these will start running a little longer as more people start showing up. So one last go around. Does anybody have a question or a chart they want to share? Because if you do, I'm all yours right now. Quiet bunch. No, bro, clear. Okay, well, we'll end it here, guys. If you do think of something you forgot to ask, just ask in the Discord, share a chart. If it's something complex, I prefer seeing charts. And yeah, we'll end this here. I'll throw it up on Teachables, and I'll see you guys on Sunday. I'll get that link up too for Sunday's backtesting session. And we'll do another one of these next Wednesday. Perfect, guys. Have a good rest of your days. And yeah, check out the new POI selection video I threw up there. And this one will be up there later for the guys that didn't make it. Have a good day, guys.